Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today you're going to see the top 2 spotting games from anyone that at least uploaded their replays onto the What Record website in the whole of 2024. So sit back, relax, get your favorite snack and watch as you're going to bask in a masterclass of how to play light tanks. For all of you light tank players out there, these are going to be the dream kind of games. And interestingly enough, our first hero of the day, OG Baton, is using binoculars. Who would have thought that they wouldn't be using coated optics, like a bond-coated optics? And what you're going to notice in a lot of the best scouting games of all time is that one light tank knows what they're doing, one light tank gets caught out early inside the battle, and then the very good player, like Baton here, knows exactly how to scout when there's no more light tanks left on the battlefield. And that is, Baton is using the best scout tank in the game. It's the Manticore. This has to be the #1 light tank in the game. I just featured it in a YouTube video a week ago where I was playing it live. We had some decent rounds, at least at the start, right? But I'm not going to spoil that entire video for you. You should go and check it out. But the Manticore has the 5th best moving camo in the game. So the #1 vehicle is, I think, the ELC even 90. Then it's followed by the AMX ELC BIS. Then it's followed by the EBR 90. And then after that, the EBR 105. And then it's the Manticore. So it doesn't actually have outrageously better camo rating than all of the other vehicles, but those tanks that I've talked about, they are very hard to be able to find. And so when you combine that with a bounty exhaust like Baton is using here, then man, this thing's camo rating gets up to above 50% when moving. And so that means that you can just drive into a bush like this. And then Baton activates their binoculars, and with the new crew skills that we have in the game as well, like the communications expert, which further boosts their crew skills after they've managed to get more than their hit points in spotting, then that really puts whole new capabilities of what scouts are able to do inside World of Tanks. It's kind of like this snowball effect with that crew skill, that once you've had a good start and you've got your 1400 spotting in the Manticore, then you've got more view range for the rest of the battle. And I can only imagine what kind of view range Baton would have here with binoculars activated on a Manticore. Now, I would still recommend that you use, hopefully, bond-coated optics on a Manticore. I think that is still going to do better for you, because I'd probably rather have kind of like 13.5 spotting extra percentage on the move than I would do to have the 25% when I'm stationary. Now, if they put something like bounty or bond binoculars in the game, there might be an argument. But the problem is that you always have to have the vision system inside a spotting slot. Now, if they put a bounty or a bond vision system in the game, I guess you could put the binoculars in the spotting slot as long as you also had like a bounty or a bond exhaust. And then maybe there could be a tiny argument that the 27.5% extra view range you get from a binoculars in the slot might be worth it. But nah, I think that still I would recommend taking coated optics on this vehicle. But this hyper view range right now, they must be packing about 540 or maybe even 550 meters view range is what I would expect. And that is outrageous stuff. It's quite interesting for me as well that Baton is not using the enhanced designated target directive, which could be able to light up their targets for an additional about 2 to 3 seconds, depending on what their crew skills are. But as we see, they're using a premium consumable. They don't really have to worry about that too much. So I'd like to highlight something that's just absolutely hilarious about this replay, and that is that there is an absolute wally on Baton's team. And that is that the FV405 had the audacity said, they pinged where Baton was, and they said, now too late, no one is covering you. Late spot, that's why. You play scout, you play badly. You start spotting 2 minutes afterwards. That is poor. I cannot honestly believe how much of a wally that Macador Wally really is. Can you honestly believe that they are berating the highest assistance game of the year from the start of the battle? Baton created a plan with their platoon mate Vod Zitsu to get rid of the light tank and then to cross and to really light it up And then what really transcends this game from being incredible to being like a one-of-a-kind kind of account record game here is that Baton realized that they needed to be able to cross. They needed to be able to go and scout out the woods at the end, and that they can take all of the risks that are in the Manticore, because they're also probably, it looks like, trying to go for their third mark of excellence here, man. That would be something nice to get. And these are stonks. This is already 2% extra mark of excellence gained, and that's a tricky thing to do in a Manticore. Make that 2.5%, and oh dear, the FE405 hits the Manticore right at the beginning, and disaster! The 60 TP manages to hit Baton as well. But look at this. It's like an auction right now. 19,000, 20,000. And I can tell you, there's actually some hidden spotting in addition to the near 21,000 that Baton got. I'll show you in the post-game stats exactly what it was. Can you believe that Baton managed to get over 20,000 spotting in sub 6 minutes? I honestly thought that to be able to have kind of a year record for the entire World of Tanks community, they need a little bit longer than that. So before we go and take a look at what the final the final tally for what Baton was able to achieve in their Manticore in the highest spotting game in the whole of 2024, let's take a look at another incredible game. This time from Grassy, playing in their RU251. That's right, a tier 9 German light tank that came close to equaling the amazing total that Baton put out in their Manticore. So the fact that you're going to see such an incredible game in a tier 9 tank is almost even more impressive than what Baton was able to do in the Manticore. So just like Baton, Grassy does the same thing, i.e. gets the enemy light tank out at the start of the game. It's more than a coincidence that all of the biggest of light tank games that I've seen are managing to get the enemy light out at the start of the battle. So with light tanks, it's all about knowing the different plays on the different maps at the beginning as to how to counter the enemy light tank, but also, more often than not, to set your light tank up sweaty. Light tanks, if you want to be competitive, must use a premium consumable. Light tanks also need to be using vision system, exhaust, and coated optics, or vents. Probably the coated optics if you want to have that raw spotting. Vents if you want to have a little bit of flexibility with either reducing the amount of time that you're spotted or increasing the amount of time that your opponents are spotted with a designated target. Buff, for example. Oh, that's pretty terrifying when you get hit by a Type 4 Heavy inside this bush. But it's all about knowing the starting setups, and once you've learnt the starting positions and you can manage to counter the enemy light tank more often, then even if there are very decent players on the enemy team, we can see quite a few players on the enemy team manage to get champion rank before, so they can't be terrible at World of Tanks. But it doesn't matter if you've got a champion rank. If there's an enemy light tank on the enemy team who outplays your light tank, either through build or through by positioning, I guess that's kind of outplaying one way or another, if they're able to then transition the battle. So just like Baton, Grassy's going to do the initial setup, try and put out their feelers, see if they can get anything easy, and then after that, try and progress the battle to see if they can be able to catch a little bit more. So just before Grassy starts to pump up the numbers here, I'd like to give a massive thank you to Arkham, who runs the What Record website. I'm not sure if any of you have used it, but now, considering that What Replays hasn't been updating for the last few patches, and it hasn't even been online, at least for me, for the last couple of weeks, What Record is the only resource, at least that I know of, that you're able to share your replays with the community. So I'd love for all of you to engage with the What Record website and give Arkham the respect that he deserves for running the website over the years, as it's now kind of the last opportunity for me to be able to find these incredible games from you guys, the World of Tanks community. Otherwise, there's no way for me to realistically find games like this without kind of, I guess, having gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of email space, which I actually just... I hate to break it to any of you who do try and send me replays, but I just put you into the junk folder instantly. It's nothing personal. The way to be able to get featured on the channel is to upload now onto the What Record website. And I even have my own subsection on the What Record website. So if you're watching this and thinking, oh, QB, I've done more spotting than this, I should have been featured in this video. Well, if you'd uploaded it onto What Record, you would have. And there's still opportunities for top kills, top damage for the rest of the year. So if you've had some epic games, maybe not just in this patch, but in the previous patches in the whole of 2024, upload them for the possibility to have a scrublord like me commentate on your epic games. So Grassy has just absolutely dominated the enemy team here with this bush line play. I like the way he's even just reversing, kind of like rubbing salt in the wounds of your opponents here, ready to run away if needed. And what you'll see that they're doing is they're staying just ahead of everyone else on their team to make sure that they're not having to do silly things like share spotting with a WZ-120 or a 268 version 4, right? And Grassy is even going to try and, looks like, go for some damage here on the Type 4. Looks like they might be trying to go for their third mark of excellence. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe they're just trying to min-max and have an incredible game here. And just like with Baton, they are now going to realize that after they're done with the Type 4 Heavy, it is time to move on. And maybe they can even get some at the FV215B183. Is that Commander AF that I can hear? I haven't actually assigned Commander AF to a tank. It was because, for some reason, the one that I got didn't come with Brothers in Arms as a 0-skill crew, and commanders were so important back then. But now, with the 6-skill maximum, maybe. I'll have to see what kind of a tank I'll put Commander AF in. As I've had the pleasure of meeting her a few times at events as well now. The one just passed at TwitchCon. So, Grassy, hopefully not going to get smashed by the FV215B183 like we saw Baton, and they just got a cool 2000 spotting at the end of this battle. And ladies and gents, boys and girls, that is how you do 20,000 combined in a tier 9 light tank. And if you want to emulate these kind of results, get yourself vision system, get yourself the best exhaust you can and the best coated optics that you can, and a premium consumable, maybe as a second build. Remember, you can alternate between the two builds if you find that the premium consumable is too expensive to use on city maps, for example, and you only bring it out for Prokhorovka and Malinovka, and you might have some incredible god tier light tank games like Grassy and Baton did here. So that beautiful result from Grassy was their third mark of excellence. Unsurprisingly, a patrol duty for managing to get 20,655 assistance there, and they also got a scout medal for lighting up 12 of the 15 players on the enemy team. And even with only one shot in this game, that's 1,722 base experience, which is enough to get them an ace tanker. And when you do this amount of spotting, it's kind of like the equivalent of doing a tremendous amount of damage as well. So they actually make 174,000 credits profit. That's an amazing result. And the third mark on the RU251 with that felt good. And you know what else? Baton OG managed to get their third mark of excellence on the Manticore as well for a whopping 22,685 assistance, ladies and gents. That gives Baton enough for an ace tanker, and again, 83,000 credits profit even after resupplying their premium consumables. And one thing that I really like to see about this game as well is Samuru in their STRV-103B, who was in Baton's platoon, managed to do over 10,000 damage in a game. Talk about a power platoon, right? But I tell you what's really awful about playing light tanks in this way, if you care about W and 8, for example, and that is that Baton got 265, suggesting they are an awful player in the world of tanks. Can you believe it? That we have a statistic inside the game, well, a third-party statistic, I should say, that some people care a lot about, which would suggest that the best light tank game, or best scout game of the year, actually makes you a terrible player. So, OG Baton, congratulations to you on the highest assistance of 2024, at least that was uploaded onto the whatrecord.com website. And I really hope that I don't end up meeting you or your platoon mate anytime soon on the battlefield. So, OG Baton and Grassy, congratulations to both of you on these mammoth light tank scout games, and thank you so much for uploading them on the What Record website. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and I hope all of you out there enjoyed this video as well. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And just to remind you all that you can either upload your replays on the standard whatrecord.com website or my subdomain QuickyBaby.what-record.com if you want to either share your replays with the World of Tanks community in general, or if you specifically want to be featured on my YouTube channel. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the highest spotting game that you've ever had. I think for me it was about 12,500, so I kind of just got ratioed by both of these players in the video today. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.